what is money end of the day? It doesn't promise you happiness. It doesn't even promise you freedom. What it promises you is optionality in life. Imagine the number of people who would probably quit their 9 to 5 job
Right.
if they are having 2 years of savings. Like that's the option that you should have, and that option is a fundamental right. And you
Right.
don't have that fundamental right because you don't know how to manage money. You can be an engineer, you can be a marketing guy, you can be anything.
Right.
If you're just good at it, you will end up making money. And don't take making money so seriously. It will happen. Opportunity hai to karo, enjoy karo hai to karo. Don't force upon that yourself. Earning money is one 9 to 5. Managing that shouldn't be one more 9 to 5.
Calm down before you stress up the groove. The energy a little different when the blessings accrue. Hey, who you talking to?
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the CNTC show. Today we have the founder of the JarApp. This is a revolutionary fintech company. They just raised close to $30 million. And this app lets you start your savings journey in literally 45 seconds. In this podcast, we dive deeper into Nishchay's journey, how he built a fintech product. He has done a job, went to the US to do a job, then was a founding team member of Bounce, which is one of the largest shared mobility startups in India. And now he's the founder of Jar. Today in this episode, if you're a college student, we will learn how do you make money in college, how do you make sure that you optimize your life in college so that you build wealth over the next 20, 30 years. There are a lot of pieces of wisdom in this podcast. I hope you enjoy it. And if you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. Hello, Nishchay.
Hello.
Welcome to the CNTC show. So excited to have you on the podcast.
Thank you.
I really want to talk about so many things, and I've just been so close to fintech over the last 2 years. Auld has worked with almost like most part of India. If you take a look at the fintech companies, we've worked with most of them, and because of which I have developed like a fondness towards the fintech industry, like fintech founders in general. And I think it's a very interesting space. And in this quest, I have educated myself a lot. And now I really want to talk to people who build it. So really excited that you came, said yes,
you.
and are here to have a conversation with us. So thank you so much for joining us. How are you feeling today? What's the mood like?
I'm fun. It's going great. Long day. We started much early, very early in the morning today.
Right.
So it's still a long way to go.
You started early. Like, how's your day like usually as a founder? How are you managing time, family, friends, work? How does that happen?
Uh, Actually, I seriously don't know how to answer to that because every day morning we'll have something new to deal with.
Okay.
But the team is very capable. I'm not very operational, to be very honest. My job is to pull out one new trick once in a while, and
Okay.
to make sure that that sustains. Put a lot of thought into it. That why will it work? Do a lot of first principles thinking, and then think of its second and third order effects of what will happen if we actually build this, at what cost will it come, and all of those things, and then rally this cause internally to get everyone's buy.
Everybody on the same page?
Yeah, it's a big sales job because the kind of team that we have built is very smart, high agency, high intent, and really smart. They will see through everything. I come up with 10 ideas and they shoot down 9 of them. Like, no, come on.
And you're this candid with the team, like, the conversation is very almost friendly, is it?
Yes. I mean, it's more like equals. To be very honest, the team is very capable. We almost have 8 to 9 guys in the company who have been a founder themselves, who have built and sold a company in the past. The team is very capable, so it becomes very easy to have a very candid conversation. Back in my Bounce days, also, Vivek used to promote one thing big time. Vivek was the founder of Bounce. He used to promote one thing big time within the company was radical candor. How
What does this mean?
how easy it is to go and tell that something is not right or something is great. Speak really freely. If you don't get it, it's okay. At the same time, one thing that we practiced really well back in the Bounce days, which helps big time here, is disagree but commit. Doesn't matter. Doesn't have to appeal to everyone. Everyone doesn't have to get all the ideas because the buy-in time for few ideas will be different for different teams.
Correct.
Be very radically candor, disagree but commit, but keep moving, never lose the momentum. So
Right.
team gives me enough highs and lows throughout the day, but it's fun. Team is very capable.
Right.
That makes my job much easier.
What's disagree but commit? What does that mean?
For example, it can be related to a feature. For example, I come up with an idea about a feature. Say the product team is not on the same page. They feel that no, this won't work.
Right.
User in this frame of mind, so he may not connect to this. At the same time, the marketing team may feel that this is a great idea because some people operate from their gut and their
Right.
institution. Some people operate from the data. Sometimes institution wins, sometimes data wins. So the cases where the product team may not be on the same page, we have to really, I mean, you have to argue it out and tell that why I think this works, and they
Right.
commit to it. I mean, they disagree that this will work or whatever it is, but since everyone else is committing to it, I will commit to it and I will own it as if I committed to it.
Right.
So that's what we mean by disagree but commit. And this we do on a regular basis at various levels, and this is something that we promote very healthily within the organization. Like,
Right.
everyone may be on the same page, but engineering team may feel that nah.
But this is not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the same time, everyone might be on the same page, but marketing team is not finding the real conviction in designing a good campaign to promote a certain aspect
Right.
of the platform. So they have to. Sometimes everyone is on the same page. Sometimes someone will not be on the same page. At that time, that team has to disagree about what, but they have to commit and do it anyways.
Right. Interesting. And I think it's very important that people don't realize that even within companies, you have to sell your ideas, right? Because there are different teams, and especially at the scale at which you are playing, you can't afford to take too many random decisions, right? Like you have to take very calculated decisions that, like you were just talking about how you operate very frugally in terms of how you do marketing or how you do content. And what becomes really, really important is sales.
Yes, yes.
And I think, and I firmly believe in this idea, by the way, that every job is a sales job.
Yes.
If you're not a good salesman, like today, if we don't sell this content to this audience, they will leave it and probably hop to some other podcast or some other content piece. And is it something that you feel you always look for when you're hiring the person, like this sales ability, or something that you feel jar ke DNA mein hai, that you teach them that this is how you become a good salesman?
We teach sometimes. Say someone might be really good in digital marketing, or someone
Right.
might be really good in optimizing funnels and all of those things. Their job is to optimize funnels. They look at that funnel, like where is the user coming from, where is the drop off happening, why is the drop off. They keep looking at. They
Right.
finally have some eureka moment, but that's not their core strength to go pitch this to product team or engineering team or marketing team to tweak something to fix that funnel.
Correct.
So you need to empower them sometimes, and sometimes you need to sit them and train them and all of those things. Recently, I was telling this story, the Archimedes story.
Okay.
I was telling to one of the guys
What
at
is
the
it?
company, like, yeah, the king gave the problem statement that how do you figure out whether this jewelry is pure gold or was there any adulteration done, was there anything done with this.
Okay.
So he was thinking on the problem statement for a very long time. He gets into the bathtub, and when the water displaces, he realizes that, yeah, volume is constant, doesn't matter what the form factor is. So if I
Right.
dip in 5 kgs of gold bar and the same jewelry, if the water displacement is same, that means there is no adulteration. And that was his eureka moment. He gets so excited that he gets up from the water tub and starts running to the palace, shouting eureka, naked. So
I think I've heard about this story in parts, but I never knew the entire context.
yeah, so uh, Archimedes, he figured out something at that moment. His excitement was way too high, but for the rest of the people in the market, Archimedes has lost it. He has become mad. He's running naked in the street. So how do you make sure that he is not the Archimedes running naked in the street?
Right.
How do you empower the team to build it in such a, construct it in such a way, package it in such a way that they can bring everyone into the same excitement levels? And
Interesting.
and that's empowering has to be done very constantly, and you need to keep aligning people. Just because you are excited about something because you had an eureka moment
Right.
doesn't mean that everyone is on the same page. You have to bring them to the same page, and that's how you need to navigate within the organization, because you're working with all smart people.
Correct.
So you need to first acknowledge that he is really smart, and you need to figure out that how do the same story doesn't sell to engineering, to
Correct.
product, to marketing. So you need to align, you need to
bring everyone in
Like,
every
you
aspect in
need
the
to
same
figure
thing.
out different storytelling to different set of
Right.
audience.
Different things will excite different people. Like
Yes.
what the kind of ambition that's exciting an engineering person will not be the same kind of ambition or like roadmap that will excite a marketing person.
Yes.
Right.
That's what I mean. This is something that we constantly discuss internally, like how to derive inspiration from various things all our lives, and how do you effectively communicate with the rest of the team. The very reason
Interesting.
JAR is in place right now, JAR is in existence, is because we felt the communications is broken in the existing fintech world. If you see an insurance ad, you will see a 40-year-old guy jumping carelessly into the water because he has an insurance and his insurance will take care of his family if something happens, so he can live his life a little more.
Right.
But that story sells to a 35-year-old guy probably. But can
Correct.
you excite a 20-year-old guy with that? So the communication is kind of broken somewhere in the entire value system, and fixing that communication will solve the problem of distribution. The moment you solve for the distribution, margins, cost, everything comes down. And
Right.
existing services were catering to the 1%, top 1%
Correct.
of the.
Very complex. Like the communication of fintech has been always very, very complex.
Yes, and simplifying, demystifying the entire finances for the common man. See, earning money is one 9 to 5. Managing that shouldn't be one more 9 to 5. And if we simplify that for common man, the adoption levels will go
Shoot
through
up.
the roof. Yeah, see, what is money end of the day? People feel that money gives you only one thing. It doesn't promise you happiness. It
Right.
promises you freedom. Uh, it doesn't even promise you freedom. What it promises you is optionality in life.
Right.
What I mean by option is money is a social construct that we have constructed, and many people's lives would change if they have enough of it. Like, imagine the number of people who would probably quit their 9 to 5 job
Right.
if they are having 2 years of savings, if they have 2 years of runway. Imagine the number of people who would walk away from their bad marriages. All those things are options. Like, that's the option that you should have, and that option is a fundamental right. And you
Right.
don't have that fundamental right because you don't know how to manage money.
Interesting.
And if you solve this at scale for common man, the world will become a better place to live.
No, true. And I'll just quickly probably go 5 minutes back into the conversation. What you said about people being really excited about their ideas, I think that really happens a lot in creative folks. That when they get an idea, they get too attached with it and they feel it's the best idea, and they block out feedback, they block out any opinions, and they forget that you have to have a conversation and sell this idea to different people, because the way you got it, they are not aware of that context, that this is how you ended up with this idea, with those thoughts which led to an idea. You have to make everybody travel this journey. So that's really exciting that you're saying that this happens not just in the creative team but almost in every team, whether it's the engineering team or the product team. And when this culture develops, it also leads to this company called JAR, which you're saying the mission is to demystify finance. The mission is to make making money from money so simple that it is understandable for the common man, correct?
Yes.
And if we probably take a step back and define JAR, what would you say? Like, what is JAR, and what were the key reasons for starting? Like, apart from demystifying finance, how did you end up with the value proposition of round off and your steps moving forward?
I come from a humble background. I come from a small town, a
Right.
small tier two town. I did engineering, moved to Bangalore. Uh, I was always aspirational. Like every teenager, I had the aspirations to have that Levi's jeans to Nike shoes, but could never afford one. At the same time, I was conscious enough to not pester parents asking me to buy one. But the moment I started earning, I was that careless 20-year-old guy. I used to be bankrupt by 20th. I used to be like broke by 20th of every month.
Right.
Very rarely I used to survive on my salary by till the end of the month. And managing that aspiration is very difficult. And by the time you end up saving, you start saving is very late. Your late 20s is average age of people to start saving.
Correct.
And I went through the same phase. And during COVID, what I kind of observed was people were suffering at various levels. One, people earned all their lives, and yet 2 3 months of lockdown kind of impacted their entire lifestyles. They had no money and all. They had no savings.
Yeah.
People who were earning all their lives had no savings, and they had no access to meaningful credit, and they had no insurance. India is the least penetration when it comes to insurance. This kind of uh, poor adoption kind of triggered a question in us that why is that such a poor adoption? Like there are billion people with bank accounts, with only 25, 30 million people investing in stock market, mutual fund, index fund. It can be a lot better, for sure. And that's when we felt there is a need in the market and there is a reason why people do not do all these things. And we felt uh, I knew exactly what I went through as a 20 to 30
Right.
age. And I felt that we need to fix habit, behavior, and discipline before you teach them
Right.
diversified asset class.
Right.
So that's what we thought we should build a platform which will demystify and help them start,
Right.
help them begin their life, help them begin their journey of savings.
Right.
And
And what
that's
is the
what
first product? Like, what are you doing right now at Jar?
So right now we started JAR with a simple proposition that we will help you start the journey of savings and investments in a single asset class which you trust the most, which
Got
is
it.
gold. Let's
Understood.
worry about mutual funds later. Let's worry about derivatives later. Let's worry about future options, stock, this,
The
that.
complicated stuff later.
Well,
Let's start
later.
with the
Let's
most
start. Let's
Sona.
help
Good.
you build your corpus.
Right.
And while you are building, let's give you a stable instrument. And we built a platform which is very simple, which offers three ways to invest in the platform, where you can simply say save 100 rupees for me every day. So we simply debit 100 from your account and we invest it for you,
Like an SIP.
like an SIP, daily SIPs.
Got it.
The second is one-time investments. Whenever you have some extra cash, you can come and deploy it. And third thing is roundups. बचपन में सबके पास गुल्लक होता था.
Correct.
पापा जब घर में आते थे शाम को जो भी चिल्लर बचा होता था देते थे, डाल देते थे
Correct.
गुल्लक में. We thought we should make it digital, and that's how jar came into it. And we called it jar because we wanted to be an aspirational brand.
The
Uh,
did it come from the savings jar?
yeah, it came from the jar. The gullak, the English version is jar.
Right.
And for some reason, we felt we have to be an aspirational platform. The platform also, the way we designed it is looking good from day zero, in the sense, just because we are building for middle class India, just
Right.
we are building for people who are just starting, we never discounted our users at any level. That's the reason our app looks dark themed from day zero, and it makes it look classy, it makes it look sexy. But there is some platforms are there which says we are building for Bharat, we're building for middle India, and they dumb down the entire platform in a look and feel also. They will make it white with blue, with big fonts, big buttons. No, we felt no, our users are our users use YouTube, Instagram, and all of those things.
Yeah, and these are advanced apps.
Yeah, advanced app, nuanced, great UI. They
Correct.
appreciate those UIs. We should build something that they can appreciate about, and that's why we made sure that two things are very top notch from day zero. Design should look very classy and sexy, and content should be very relevant all the time.
Yeah.
And that's what JAR is, a simple savings and investments platform where you start the journey of savings. And we are bringing in more instruments within the platform, and we will help people diversify their portfolio as they move forward.
I think the relatability factor with your company is really high. And we were just discussing that from day zero, you were doing vernacular, which is you were doing ads and you were doing content in different languages. You didn't just stick with the traditional Hindi and English. Like you went and you had different languages as well. And even I think your communication, your advertisements, it is so simple and it is very entertaining. Like you never just either like people either stuck with education or stuck with entertainment. I felt that balance was stuck right. Like I was just talking to Rakshit yesterday about jar ads and how sort of we are also making ads for them. So how can we sort of see and strike the right balance of education and entertainment? I think you've done that right and in probably like the most optimal fashion, and it's always enjoyable to consume your content.
Yes.
Because today what is also happening is when you look at a brand ad, you just don't feel like watching it.
Yeah.
Right? It serves the purpose. Sure, it gets you all the clicks, but like that enjoyment factor from ads is slowly going away, I feel. And what you said about the design as well, I think when I go to the website, I could clearly understand what roundup means, because it's a new term for a lot of Indians, right?
Yes.
How this works. You had that nice debit card animation also, which made me understand, oh, wherever I spend, it'll get debited. I think that was like a master stroke in, like, as an outsider, when I look at a company, that was a job done really, really well. I mean, of course, you're a veteran and I'm like too young when it comes to like this, so a lot to learn from you, but it was really good as an outsider.
Yes, as I said, uh, I come from a small town, no much, never had access to too much of money, never did trading as a teenager and all of those things. There was no content back then, there was no internet back then, at least when I passed out of college and all of those things. It was still new, it was
Right.
still fresh. We were still stuck to Orkut and all of those things back in the days. We learnt it hard way.
Right.
And when we were building, we felt that it shouldn't be this hard. We should make it simple. We should make it fun.
Right.
And that we stuck to that core principles. Like we need to make this non-intimidating. We should make this non-pretentious, and we should keep the platform free of jargons and make it simple, welcoming, and where the user should feel that he has the context of what's going on,
Got it.
and he should have the feeling that he's in the driver's seat.
Makes sense. And when it comes to, like, we're just talking about for you and even for me as well, like, I've been running a bootstrapped company, and for me, at the end of the day, I just look at my Excel sheet and see, okay, what is the net profits? So the thinking is very different. Whereas in the startup ecosystem, the thinking is really different right now. And of course, like a lot of companies don't focus on profits for all the right reasons. When it comes to JAR in specific, how do you plan to make money? What is the revenue roadmap for you that this is how JAR will eventually make the big bucks?
Good. See, we will become the go-to platform for our consumers to navigate the financial tranches throughout their lives. We are Our average users are very young. They're still starting their journey of
And what is the average age for the user?
99% of my users are aged below 35.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, very young. We are catering to they're starting their journey with us. We will cater to all their financial needs from investment standpoint, from credit standpoint, and from insurance standpoint. And there is enough money on the table in all these three categories. I think if we are relevant, if we create right value, we can make really good money of every user on the platform. And
Interesting.
that's what we believe.
And I see that a lot of these fintech companies, so many fintech companies right now, and two things are happening. A lot of companies are trying to make money from lending, which has become a big instrument. We're discussing cred, and I think somebody, I don't know if it's officially right or not, but somebody was telling me that cred's revenue roadmap involves lending in a big way. That their loan books are good. And then somebody told me that, okay, lending and the BNPL products, then there's insurance and policies, which is also again good money making. So I hear all those things as an outsider. Again, maybe don't have that much context as you have, as you are at the core of the ecosystem. But as an outsider, what I see is most of these apps are trying to become almost a super money app, that we will do everything. We will give you investment options in mutual funds, this, that, then we'll help you in investing, whether that's from mutual funds to stocks or gold. So if everybody is trying to become this super money app for somebody like, and especially like a young audience, how do you plan to, and how do you think JAR will differentiate its offerings from the other folks? Because at the end of the day, a lot of things are also like curation, right? Like you'll be curating a lot of things. So what is that differentiation roadmap for JAR?
See, the first thing is the market is really big, and we shouldn't consider that India is building for India only. The kind of
Okay.
talent pool that we have, the kind of diversity we serve, doing business in India is like doing business in 32 countries. Different languages, different cultures, different values, different education levels, and all of those things. The platforms which get built and nurtured here are well tenured to serve to the global audience. And I believe there will be consolidation happening way down the journey in our lives. But at the same time, uh, I think what we are building will be very relevant to a much larger audience in the entire African countries, Latin America, Southeast Asia. A lot of these places, they are still very early in their own journeys of digital adoption, and all the innovation happening from a tech standpoint, from a product standpoint, from solving the user's needs from a very psychological standpoint, from
Right.
how do you help him navigate the everything, because people don't change, doesn't matter where, but only thing that you need to understand is how do you communicate this,
Context of
yeah,
their
all of those
communication.
things.
Right.
And I believe there is place for a lot of players. At the same time, how do you easily help people navigate from one value prop to next value prop?
Right.
How do you help them go up the value ladder? Whoever cracks that in a most elegant manner will be there to serve
And is
people.
there space for multiple players in the market? Do you feel that?
Yes, obviously. People have different idiosyncrasies, personas, their expectations. Not every brand can be everything for everyone.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and
Right.
to be profitable, if you do your business right, 10, 15 million users are more than enough to generate good revenues.
Correct.
Not revenues to simply survive, to make real money
Really
and all
real
of those
money.
things. Real money and all of those things.
That makes a
The
lot of
number
sense.
of people who will be doing upward mobility to middle class and higher middle class is way too high. And lot more products are required, lot more innovation needs to happen. All the products built so far were built other than payments. Everything was built for just 1%. Lot of innovation has to happen to figure out how to sell
For the rest of the country.
securities, insurance, lending, and all of those things. A lot of innovation is yet to happen. We are still in the very early stage of adoption, distribution, everything. So still a long journey for everyone. And uh, credit is something that internally we admire the most in our company. At least we love the way they are setting standards for fintech platforms in terms of making it jazzy, really fun, very relevant.
Right.
They're consolidating the 1% on a single platform and engaging them in all the things that matter to them.
Right.
And for me personally, I feel that probably Cred is the first aspirational platform which has come out from India.
Yeah.
I lived in US for 4+ years, and I can easily tell that the kind of disruption that Cred can do in a market like US or Europe is immense. There is nothing like Cred anywhere else in the world. And the day Cred goes global, it will be like a superpower in the whole space. And I'm quite excited for them.
It's really exciting. I wanna sort of dial it down in a completely different tone altogether and discuss like college. A lot of college students watch this, and you have built wealth over the last 10, 15 years, and you are familiar with the idea of sort of doing a job, then starting a company as a founding team member, then being a founder yourself. So multiple roles you've played, and you've built wealth in different kinds of ways, right? So it becomes very relevant. I want to understand, as a college student, how do how do I build my path? How do I build habits? What are these three habits that I can build that will help me make more money over the next 10, 5, 10, 15 years?
Doesn't matter what you're doing, if you're good at it, you will end up making money.
Okay.
You can be a customer care guy too, you can be a creative guy, or you can be an engineer, you can be a marketing guy, you can be anything.
Right.
If you're just good at it, you will end up making money.
Right. So A,
That's
be very, very good at whatever you're doing.
whatever. That solves most of the problems. If you're good at what you are doing, that solves most of the problem. Your life will always going to be comfortable.
Got it.
If you're just good at what you do, that's all is required to be leading a comfortable life.
Right.
Next comes your wants, your aspirations. For that, you need to probably go out and be more uh, outgoing. You need to take those small risks. We have so many guys in our company in jar who are still in their college. They're working full time with us from last couple of years, like from last 18
Same,
months.
same. One of our IPL ads was written by an 18-year-old. It was
Yes.
insane.
Yes, there is this guy called Sai Preetham in my team. He comes from a small town, Hubli, and he was doing engineering there. He's still doing his final year engineering now. But I started communicating. I mean, he started communicating with me back when we launched Jar, and
Right.
he was generally chatting random things with me on Twitter and all of those things. And I really liked his approach. And I asked him, which year of college you're in? He said, second year I'm giving. I said, when does your internship start? Is it necessary for you to
Right.
go to college? No, COVID, no classes are going on. Come over to Bangalore, then start working with us as an intern. He worked with us for 6 months as an intern. He was doing amazing. We converted him to full time. He manages a lot of growth initiatives for us. Same thing. We have another guy called Rohan in our team. His he just completed his third year engineering. He's getting into the fourth year engineering. He's working with us from day zero, and he deployed some of the amazing ML engines that we built to build the persona of the users and build a feed logic which will decide what to show to user at what time based on his
Right.
persona, based on where he is in his financial journey, based on what time of the day it is, what time of the month it is, how much money he has, and all of those things. He built that system, beautiful system. very young. You just have to be outgoing. You don't have to be a founder. If
Be
you
outgoing, take risks. Yeah.
take risk, no harm in directly reaching out to teams, and you don't have to reach out to a founder itself. Not necessary, because recently we converted one guy called Nishant full-time into our analytics team. He did the most simplest thing. He's sitting somewhere in Punjab. He reached out to our data engineer team, asked him, "What do you guys do? I want to get into what you are doing." It was very simple. So this guy said, "What are you good? What are you good at?" He said, "SQL, this and all." Start doing these things and all of those things. He started working with us for the last 6 months. He completed his engineering. He became full time, and he didn't even reach out to me. I didn't even know him. He directly reached out to one of the engineers working in our team. He said, "I will shadow you. You help. You take me as intern. You don't pay me anything. It's fine. I will work with you." And
Correct.
so take those small initiatives. You don't have to come up with a business plan yourself. You don't have to come up with a business idea yourself.
But just execute.
But you can hang around with the right guys, start working on the right things, and don't take working, making money so seriously. It will happen. If you're good at it, it will happen. If
Right.
you're only do it only if you're enjoying it.
Correct.
You don't have to force yourself. I never did any of these things. I come from a typical South Indian Baniya family. For us, it was mandatory to help parents at the shop and all of those things. I did it out of compulsion. It was not because I was having fun at it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we did ton of gigs back in the hometown, a small town, to make some money. But it was for fun. We did it because we wanted money, not because we wanted to start up. We wanted to do this, we wanted to do that, and all of those things. आज का शाम का खर्चा कैसे निकाले? How to go out with friends and have that plate of masala puri or a pani puri? How to go out and have that coke with friends?
Correct.
That's all that mattered to us, and that's why we made money, not because आगे जाके बड़ा कंपनी धंधा
I
सेटअप
think that
करेंगे.
entrepreneurial mindset flows. Like if people who have that as kids, I've seen them still like doing something, even if they're doing a job, that mindset is still there
Yes.
to grow, and that growth mindset which is there, which is really exciting, I think.
So that's what I mean. You don't have to be so. You don't have to sit and plan and all of those things. Do it if you only enjoy it. Or
Right.
else do other things. If you love reading, go read. It's okay. It's not necessary to start earning at 18.
Right.
It's not necessary to start earning at 21 also. Start when it really matters to you, when you really like it, and if you really want to go explore what you like, then do it. But don't bring that additional unnecessary pressure on yourself that मुझे ये करना है, by fourth year I should have 3 internships, 4 internships. Opportunity है तो करो, enjoy कर रहे हो तो करो. Don't force upon that yourself. That age will not come. Go have मस्ती करो दोस्तों के साथ, enjoy, have good time, read, bunk classes, do whatever it
Right.
takes. But do it if you like it.
Holistically enjoy your life, but if you still want to do it, then definitely be very, very good at what you do. Then you have to be outgoing, you have to reach out to people, you have to execute, you have to tell people that, hey, I want to do something, and then enjoy what you do, right? If you don't enjoy, then at that early of an age, it can also burn you out, I feel, which, I mean, which is never pretty.
Yeah.
You were in the US, right? Which is a very different life altogether. What made you come back to India?
See, I came back to India. I was able to get married to my girlfriend back then. She was a doctor. She's a doctor, and
Right.
she was very clear that I'm going to practice only in India and nowhere else in the world. So it made the decision very easy for me, and I just moved back to India, got married, and things happened in India. It was all good
Right.
for good.
Really cool. So you are married now.
I'm married. I'm married for almost 8 years now.
8 years.
Yeah.
How is running a family? And this is, I think, more of a personal question for myself, because I'm having a hard time managing company content and friends. I can't imagine the idea of having like a partner. So how you like even managing like the personal and professional part of it?
I don't know how people do that. For me, it was easy because I know my wife for almost 23 years. We
Right.
met whenever we were in high school.
Okay.
So that way it was quite easy. I mean, she tolerates me a lot, to be very honest. And yeah, she let me be me.
Right.
That's all. It was as simple as that. And she's very aspirational herself. She's a surgeon. She's busy with her own work and all of those things. That made it a little easy for both of us, I believe.
Did it help that both of you were aspirational? Like, do you think if your partner wasn't as aspirational, the journey would have been more difficult?
No, as I said, going back to the first thing that I said, it's all sales.
Okay, this I want to know more on this. Like, how is this sales? Like, okay, how do we get better at this sales?
If you're effective in communicating that why that matters to you, what you are doing, I think people who stand with you is family and friends.
Okay.
And if they really see it in you that you're really passionate about what you are doing, the most support comes from family. And I've seen it during the good times and the bad times. The most support comes from family, and I don't think it's difficult to manage. I personally, that's my personal, because it's maybe my individual experience, but I don't think. I mean, the most support comes from friends and family.
Right.
You just have to be really vulnerable. If you're quite comfortable to be vulnerable in front of them, in terms of making them realize that what you're doing, what you're going through, what's happening at work, what's happening in the market, what's happening with the whole winter or summer or spring or whatever it is, they will be there for you, and it actually makes it easier.
Right. You know, one thing which really excites me is when you look back in your career and you're like, I was such an idiot. Like, I was such an idiot here, 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 here. And there was a really cool thing that when I was in my first year of college, one of my seniors told me that when you go to your second year, if you think you in your first year of college, you were a complete idiot, congratulations, you've grown in life.
Yes,
That
absolutely.
so what were like these 2 3 moments in your life, or sort of 2 3 mistakes slash when you felt that yeah, I was an idiot then, that you would want to not repeat now, or you have learned now?
Oh, this happens like on a daily basis. I keep telling the team that if you're not embarrassed by the code that you have written 6 months back,
Right.
that means there was no progress.
Okay.
I've done enough mistakes, and JAR is the result of all those mistakes.
Tell me like the 3 core ones across like your job, US, bounce, and now. Like, what are some key mistakes that you would tell, like what you would tell your kid that yeah, these 3 mistakes avoid karna hai, these 3 things.
I think it's very difficult given the amount of mistakes I've done. It's only thing that I tell myself is keep thinking new mistakes.
Keep
Don't
doing new
repeat them.
mistakes. What are some of the recent mistakes that you feel कि यार ये तो अभी अभी हुई हैं गलतियां, इन पे काम करना है for sure?
See, for example, when we were running bounds, we used to experiment at a really insane pace. And that actually made us realize that what works, what doesn't work.
Right.
And that mistakes I did there have big time at jar for me. I know how to cherry pick those experimentation ideas. Ideas तो रोज 10 होते हैं. You get to meet so many people. हर एक पूछता है कि ये क्यों नहीं कर लेते, वो क्यों नहीं कर लेते, and all of those things.
Right.
Those ideas comes to you in all directions all the time.
Correct.
Sometimes it doesn't make sense to me today, but it will make sense to me 6 months down the line, because I'll be at a scale where I can appreciate it.
Correct.
One of the things that really helped us, like the mistakes that we did, and we now appreciate it and do it, like don't hesitate to when don't feel bad about being wrong. We used to beat ourselves back in the day, like I was
I was wrong. It's
Yeah.
okay to be wrong.
it's okay to be wrong.
Right.
That's one of the things. Back in the days, it used to actually impact the work
Right.
of being wrong. Now it doesn't impact. It's like move on. Like yeah, this okay. ये नहीं करना था, ये नहीं करना है. Next करो. That is one thing for sure. Being frugal. The whole COVID thing at every level, not being frugal to being frugal, and personal life to running the company, that frugality, I mean, not being frugal led to certain lifestyle decisions later in the life. That is helping us being very frugal here. We know when to be frugal, we know when to not to be frugal.
Right. I think this is also something really important, which is sometimes, and this is something which I had to break out of the bootstrap mentality. You have crores in the bank, but you wouldn't spend, right? Because that fear is there. Whereas a VC company, they are much more inclined towards spending because for them the KPI is growth. And I think it's really important to figure out where you should actually press the accelerator full and spend, and where you should save money.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the biggest learnings that, like personally, I have gotten over the last 1 year, that you can't be frugal here. Like you can be frugal on 10 other places, but not here. You know, there's a penny wise, pound foolish.
Yes,
Like
yes.
a lot of people might save money in the wrong places, but spend in the wrong one. And understanding this is really
Yes,
important.
absolutely. Most of the days, my breakfast is still 30-40 bucks. I have a plate of idli and a coffee, I'm done. I'm frugal there, but elsewhere I may not be frugal.
Correct.
So I find comfort in both, which I was not doing earlier.
Right.
Now, do it quite religiously.
Right.
Like this, there are many things. You can't afford to burn out, and you don't have to read every book that everyone is reading. Many books will not make sense to Indians, to be very honest, because culturally we are very different. Lot of things which is like a knowledge for someone else may be a common sense to you. So you should.
Right.
It's okay to leave a book at 10th page and feel like nahi nahi padna hai mujhe.
Right.
It's okay.
It's okay to be wrong, be frugal. I think great advice. And third, don't get burnt out. Like
Yeah.
burnout nahi hona. Don't be pressurized by FOMO.
Yeah.
If everybody else is doing like reading 20 books, you don't have to
Yeah.
like read 20 books to succeed in life, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Makes a lot of sense. This is one thing which we do almost every time we do this podcast episode, and we are almost at the end of the episode, which is I will say the name of a company, and you have to probably say one or two lines, but almost immediately, right? So it's almost like a rapid fire round. So it really excites me. And we're gonna do this like really fast. So I'll say the name of the company, and you'll have to say like two lines about it, and almost like a rapid fire. I'm very serious about the speed here, so you can't
Sure.
like default on the speed.
Sure.
Cool. Candid thoughts on these companies. You ready?
Yeah.
Perfect. Cred,
Their creativity.
creativity. Okay, and the money.
I love that how they made it accessible and made it two things. One is they made it accessible to invest in US markets for Indians, and second thing is they made it look like you don't have to be a super rich guy to do it. If you're making even 5 lakh rupees and if you have 50,000 to invest,
Right.
I will make it possible for you to do that. And I love that they made systems more accessible. They made the borders evaporate, and that's what I love about them.
Zepto.
uh, they came in and disrupted well established, and they set a new standard and a benchmark for everyone, and that's what I really love.
And do you think a model like that is something which do you see it succeeding? Like, are you on the bullish side of quick commerce or on the bearish side of quick commerce?
I'm on the bullish side of quick commerce for sure, because innovation is not just at delivery logistics. There's a lot of things to do with setting up those dark stores, completely running on a what do you call franchisee model and all of those things. I've seen it work great for Getir in Turkey. I don't see no reason for it to not to work in India,
Makes
and I'm very bullish about them.
Byju's.
I don't know. I'm not the target audience for them because I don't have kids and I'm too old to get into on those platforms. But coming from a small town, what I love about them is uh, they gave access to quality education to everyone in the tier two. Sitting in tier one, people may talk not so nice about all the tech companies, not just Byju's, all the tech. Coming from tier two, tier three towns, we really know the pain. We really know how accessible they have made knowledge for everyone.
Right. Makes sense. Okay. Zerodha.
They set the
Benchmark.
benchmark for rest of
OGs
us.
of fintech.
OGs of the fintech. One of the greatest qualities of Nitin is doesn't matter who you are, if you're talking to him, he will sit and listen to you and he will give you real feedback about what he thinks. Doesn't matter if you are yet to register your company or you are already running a multi-billion
him?
dollar. I've never met him, but I've spoken to him a couple of times.
Nice. Lovely. Bharat Pay.
Again, same like Zepto, well established market, and the way they disrupted was like commendable.
Makes a lot of sense. So a lot of times we get this question in our DMs, and although I don't believe in the prime question itself, but a lot of you don't know about this that hey, I'm a school slash college student. How do I get startup ideas? And once I get an idea, how do I validate it? So what has been like your go-to sort of inspiration for this is how I get startup ideas and this is how I validate them?
See, for us, it was uh, it it was not an engineered thought process to start something. It was more of an we stumbled upon and we held on to it with us for some time, and then we felt that this can go something really big. Same thing happened to Vivek when he started Wicked Ride, and once they started scaling, he made me quit my job and join him, help him build the tech. We started building the tech. We scaled the business to 20 cities. We were renting out big motorcycles like Harley Davidsons, Ducatis, Triumphs, and all. And as and when we were running it very successfully, and as and when we became more popular, more people started coming and asking, I just need a scooter for a day, I don't want your. We figured out that bounds, like mobility is a much bigger problem to solve.
Right.
And that's when we started putting our efforts towards that. It was not like we were out there looking for a
For an idea, it
for
just
a,
happened.
it just happened. And we took that bounce, we ran as fast and as far as possible. We are doing all those things during the COVID phase lockdown. That's when I kind of realized that kind of pain that close friends and family were going through with money, the mismanagement, colleagues, and all of those things. That was kind of an my eureka moment, that why is it so difficult. uh, it was never like I was not sitting and thinking I want to start a startup, so I need to go find a problem statement.
Right.
It happened to me. I don't know how others do, to be very honest. As I said, we never thought of building. It was never. I think if you had asked me even 10 years back, do you think you are going back to India to start a startup? I would have said no. It was never in my. I mean, it happened.
Right. And I think it happens when you are doing something. Just doesn't happen when you're sitting comfortably on a couch thinking that an idea will come from the
You
sky.
know, you know,
Like
I
so,
mean, for some people it does happen. I'm quite envious of them. For me, it was a hard journey to be
yeah,
where I am.
makes a lot of sense. So we're almost at the end of the podcast episode, and we do this thing where we reverse the role, and you get to ask me one question, any question. Could be about business, work, owl, anything. So what is that one question that you'd ask me?
What do you think is the most interesting part of your uh, recording the podcast? Like, what was the most interesting story you have heard, or what changed? What is that one moment of learning which changed the way you do your stuff?
Interesting. So I'll come to the learning bit first. One of the key learnings was having a great conversation in real life and having a great conversation on podcast are two different things. Because on the outside, it looked like this is a conversation between two people getting candid. But we realized that there's a lot of structure that needs to be put in. And when I started studying like the best podcasts in the world, there was a lot of research that goes into before they come to the conversation to make it look natural. The hardest part in content is to make something look natural, is to be yourself. So cracking that was the biggest learning, that it is, earlier I used to think that it's nothing but two people talking to each other, but it's a lot more than that. To be natural, you have to put in a lot of effort. In terms of, I can also answer a slightly tweaked question, is what keeps me going? Like why am I doing this? Because I really have to find time while running the company and scaling it and to do the podcast. What keeps me running is I love researching about companies. So even at Owl, because we work with so many different companies, yesterday I had a meeting with a pet food brand. Today morning I had a meeting with one of the fintech unicorns, and in the afternoon I was talking to a personal brand hitting 800 crores in revenue. 800 crores, insane. So these three are just on very different tangents, and the same is the case with the podcast. When I talk to people like you, I get such different kinds of like experiences, and I get to know so many stories. The reason I started Owl or any of this was because I love storytelling. I love listening to stories and I love telling my own stories. And this was my shortcut to reaching out to stories like yours. And I relate to entrepreneurs a lot because it's the same struggle that they are going through as what I'm going through. So that bandwidth is also on the same page. And yeah, this is why we're doing it, and how we ended up like at this space.
Got it. That's quite interesting.
But I'm so glad we could do this. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for coming
Sure.
to the podcast. It was a really nice conversation. I learned a lot. I think multiple things. Frugality is one thing that I'm going to take away from this podcast. That be frugal, be fiercefully, be fearful when it comes to execution. Be okay to like it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to be embarrassed. The core part is keep learning, keep moving forward, and just be okay with the process and have fun. So a lot of these mini learnings that I got from the podcast, I'm glad we got a chance to do this, and
Absolutely.
all the best for the
Thank you.
JarApp, since it's the community for which JarApp is going to be really really relevant. Please go. We'll put the links in the description as well, so you can go download the JarApp, start your savings and investment journey. And thank you, Nishchay, for building
Thank
such an
you.
incredible product for all of us.
Thank you.